when you're looking at adapting your own book into a movie, because obviously you did that with your first novel, was it Can't Think Straight?
Yes.
So when you've spent all this time with your characters in your head, and you know how they sound, you know how they look, and even the world's greatest actress isn't going to come in and do exactly 100% what you had in mind. And if she did, you should probably fire her, because you need somebody that's contributing. So how does that impact you when you're directing something that was exclusively yours that you've now got to share?
Well, it is weird, because you do think that as the author, I'm going to be all very kind of, Katya has to look like this, or Tala has to look like that and behave like that. But I'm very much about finding actors who can work with me and get the essence of the book. And that's why it's very important to me to, when I worked with Lisa Ray, with Sheetal Sheth, or Rebecca Ferguson in the last movie, it was important for me to meet with them and to talk about the story with them, just to get a sense of two things. Do they get the essence of who this character is, and how would they approach it? And the second thing is, how do I communicate with them, and do we gel creatively? Because, when you're on a film set under pressure, you want to be able to direct and have actresses who are really going to be able to respond to that under the fast conditions that you work under. And I think I was very keen to understand and to realize that I cannot act. I can't light as well as my director of photography can light. I can't put together a costume like my costume designer. So while I have an overall vision and a very strong vision, it's very important for me to let those actresses bring something to the table. And if I've got an idea of how a scene should be played, or what the character is feeling, I'll communicate that. But I'll also let the actor come in and say, actually, what if she played this, that she wasn't that upset, or that she was kind of flippant? And I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's do that. Because I always like to see what comes out of that creative collaboration. I think that's the most exciting thing about making a film. Completely different from novels, where you're master of the universe, but that's the whole point of making a film. So if you're going to deny that collaboration with some very talented people, I don't think you should be making movies.
And is that part of what brings you switching back and forth a little bit? Is that desire to sometimes be 100% master of the universe before you have to share again?
Oh, for sure. There's always... I'm lucky I get to do both. Very different skills. But there's after a time when you've finished a film, and it's been nonstop people having to inspire them to lead, to answer questions, to manage. There's a time when I'm really happy to sit back in my little writing cabin. There's just me, characters on the page. Anybody gets irritating to me, I can write them out of the book or pull them off, and then and it's that quiet writer time. I cherish that too.
Cinematography is always perfect. There's no need to wait for the lighting. It's there.
That's right. It doesn't take 25 hours to set up a shot. It's like
soundtracks, whatever's on Spotify. Let's do this.
Right. Exactly.
So, have you noticed, are there little things that sentences, sentence structure, sentence word choices, things that would go into your author style? And are they a literary equivalent of your filmmaking style, or are those two completely different things?
It's a very good question. Well, I think my author style changes quite a lot between my books, because, despite The Falling Snow or The World Unseen is kind of quite a little bit more, I gotta say literary, but straightforward. I mean, not flowery, I think. But, I use a lot of longer sentences and a little bit of, there's a flow to the language that was a bit different in Athena Protocol, where I use kind of shorter sentences, because to kind of match the pace of the book. Short sentences, short paragraphs. I'm a big fan of the M dash. I always kind of like that idea of, and then this. And I also like semicolons for that reason. There's just that extra little pause that you don't get with a comma. So I use a lot of those. Not always 100% correctly. My editor tells me, and they go through and they copy edit everything to death, and sometimes I put some back, I sneak some back in. But I love those two things. I love M dashes and semicolons. And I guess there's a rhythm to those that does carry into movie making too. It's that editing is all about knowing just how long to keep that look or that moment before cutting to the next one. So maybe there's an equivalent. I haven't thought about it, but I will now.
Gotcha. So that's film semicolon is a longer shot than normal before you do the cut.
Exactly. Maybe that is. And it's just that extra beat that gives you maybe an emotional moment. Yeah.